In this video I want to do a shootout between the DJI Mini 3 Pro and the Sony A7RV. Now I know that's a bit like comparing jet fighters and speedboats, but because I use these two together for filming property videos, then I want to see the capabilities of both of them side by side. So the DJI Mini 3 Pro has the capabilities of filming 4K 60 frames a second and has an f1.7 lens on it. And the Sony A7RV, I've put the G Master 1.4 lens on it, so if I set that to about f1.8, so they're very similar. And of course this also films in 4K at 60 frames a second. I want to do a complete comparison here to see how they work, both of them side by side, in auto white balance mode and auto exposure. And then I want to set the settings exactly the same and see what the footage looks like by comparison. And also I want to look at things like rolling shutter and see what the imagery is like as well, because this does 48 megapixel images and this does 61 megapixel images. So let's put it to the test. So here we are in St Albans outside the cathedral on this beautiful sunny day. Now to test these two side by side, I've put the settings exactly the same. I'll put them up on the screen, but basically the shutter is set at 200, frames per second is 60, ISO set to 100, and they've both got an ND filter of 16 on there. First of all, we're going to try the rolling shutter by just moving them in parallel across the front of the cathedral. Let's give it a go. The settings set the same, and already looking at the screen I can see the image is quite a bit darker than it was on the Sony. So I'm just going to make some adjustments here, which I will take the shutter speed down to 100, and already that seems to have made the difference. Take one of the rolling shutter test, and I'm just going to move parallel across the front of the cathedral, and the next shot we're just going to pan from left to right. In this next test I'm going to put the camera into ISO auto mode. Everything else is left in manual apart from the white balance, which is on auto. In the doorway of the cathedral here is a sign, so I'm going to walk towards it and just let the ISO change, and then we'll do the same with the drone. So we're going to test how the auto ISO works and also how the auto focus works in comparison to the drone. Obviously we've got to be careful, no one's walking in and out that church door, so we might have to try this test a couple of times. For this test, we're just going to look at colour profiles. So I'm going to try D-Cine-like on the drone and S-Cine on the Sony A7RV. Now we've filmed in flatter colour profiles, let's quickly dive into Final Cut Pro and just edit these using Cinema Grade. And you drag and drop it on, then go and open the controls. And you can do some basic adjustments here, and then you can go from your base correction, you can match it to other shots or go to your final grading. So just quickly looking at final grading, we've got pop out and we've got LUTs here. This LUT here will do nicely, and we'll just accept that and apply it. You simply close the window and that's been applied. Okay, so now we're just going to go to the S-Cine on the Sony camera, and again we're going to apply the Cinema Grade filter, and again we can go into base correction and make any adjustments here, and then we can just go to final grading. Again you can choose a LUT. Let's just pick the same LUT, accept that. Just see if we need to make any adjustments there. Let's maybe just pull that saturation a little bit more. Feel the yellow tone could be saturated a little bit more. And here's a quick comparison using the LUTs on the DJI and the Sony. And here we're comparing the D-Cine-like with the LUT on it compared to the standard profile. And I think you'll agree, using the LUT in the image on the right hand side is far superior. I hope you found that useful, albeit a little bit crazy. If you've got any knowledge to share or any questions, please let me know. And if you subscribe, drop a note in the comments below and I can personally thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.